Hello, good morning, and welcome to our webinar Parts in EqHub, where we will have an introduction to this new feature and a short demo. So thanks for tuning in. The time today is set at 25 minutes. We'll spend up to 30 minutes in the Q&A if needed. It's not a very long session, but thanks for taking your time. So today it's myself, Andre Aaland, and my colleague Knut Dagsvik who are presenting this webinar. I'm an advisor and a project manager for EqHub. Knut is a subject matter expert in content and parts and the topic we're talking about today, especially. The agenda, we'll have a little welcome and introduction to parts. Then we will show how it works briefly. We will focus mainly on describing the key benefits of using this service and feature. We will then move on to the Q&A session. So I also want you to know that this webinar is being recorded. Following the webinar, if all participants and even those of you who haven't joined will receive a link to the actual recording, so you can go through it again. And it will also be uploaded and made available on YouTube on Monday. So some more admin stuff. We would like you to save your questions for the end. There's a feature, a button rather, down on your lower right corner called Questions. Please open that one and start asking throughout the webinar. When it comes to the end, we will go through these questions. If you see a question that you would like to ask, having already been addressed, you can choose to upvote that question. So we'll be have higher visibility for us when we come to that last session. The chat function you can also use, but we won't be looking too much into that one. So please use the question function for actual questions. If we don't have time throughout the webinar to address all questions, we will do our best to follow up after to all of you who have raised questions that might not have been answered. So first of all, again, welcome. So about parts in EqHub and this material management portfolio that we have. There's several services. Today we're talking about EqHub, but they are very much integrated into each other. So parts and information about parts is an integral part of EqHub and associated services. Over time, part data, or documents rather, have been heavily documented, but currently there's still limited usable and reusable data on this level. Right now, we have defined about 318 equipment classes as being so-called part-specific, and 2 document categories as being part-specific. This will potentially change going forward as needs arise and requirements change. It simply means that if a class, equipment class or document is defined as part-specific, the data providers or suppliers will see that they can be more encouraged to provide parts as data. The document requirements is still there. That's still the actual requirement in EqHub, but you will have an option also to provide data for the parts. And we'll come into why that could be a benefit for you and the potential operators and contractors a bit further into the presentation. The example below here just shows a bunch of classes within the valves discipline having so-called part-specific document associated with it. Maybe Knut, do you want to add some of the thinking behind the part-specific definition?
Yes. You mean why the document categories is related is also part of the requirement. So putting the parts into there, we'll get a little bit back to that. I see there are some questions here on the chat, Andre, on the how to get sound and stuff like that, I'm sure.
How do you get sound? I think you will have to choose the microphone setting.
Okay.
Jørn Nilsen said he had to cut. I'm not sure. Yeah. But questions, please address in the questions tab. Jørn, maybe you can instruct other users with the same issue what they need to do in English if you found the solution. Yeah, Goncalo says you need to click in the middle of the screen when you first open this link. Okay, thank you. I will continue. Now into how this actually works. So in this example, I will log in shortly. We have a data provider, a Flowtech, who has provided some part data on a pneumatic control panel. I will try now to switch to my EqHub screen. Okay. So let's say I look for the same ID. This is the equipment. I can see here that there's a parts view, connection view on the left side. I can also close this. I think this opens automatically. So you can come in here, and we know that there are parts documented in terms of documentation here. So within these documents, these part-specific documents, there is clear definition and information related to parts. Also, as a data provider, you will have the option to then also provide the part details as data, supplementing really what's inside the drawing. And this is, it's shown here. You can also export this view, and you will get an export with a table showing all the different aspects of the parts as provided. You can have a look here at the actual drawing. It takes some time to load, it seems. Sorry. Oh, my mistake. Yeah, so basically it's the same information then that they would typically choose to import using a template into EqHub under this section called parts. Then referring to a specific document then. They can also choose to add or edit the parts manually one by one. This is the freedom you have as a supplier. It's your data. You can define it as you wish. But there is a feature for uploading really the Excel that you have here in the drawing into EqHub. Anything to add here, Knut, on this?
Yeah, I can just say that you can link parts to drawings, and if you have several drawings with different part lists, then you can add the parts to the different drawings, so you have the right connections there.
Great. You also have a little symbol here. It's been in EqHub for a while. It's showing connections, and the parts, if they have been provided as data, will also be visible here under a section called parts. And this is basically exactly the same information that you have here on the right side, but shown in a different, slightly different overview. So that's that. Now I will go back to my presentation. So on to the benefits. Please, Knut, if you can take us through.
Yeah, maybe you can change the view a little bit, I think, on presentation mode, or?
Mm-hmm. Give me a moment.
Okay, while you're doing that, what we see as a potential benefit for suppliers is, of course, that if you put information into the equipment here, it will be kind of controlling the good information. This will also be made available into different processes like the spears and into material master systems for the operators. So controlling this information, of course, will be making sure that you in the future will get accurate procurement details when you get somebody want to buy this part. Also, because you link it to the equipment or EqHub ID, then every time this product is linked to any project or packages or customer, you don't have to replicate this information. So it will be integrated with the SPIR process, which we will address later, I guess, where all this information put in here will come into the SPIR process, so you don't have to create it again. Also, making past data available exceeding the 2 years of operation, which is the normal requirement for spare part. So if after 5 years something breaks and somebody needs this information, then it's available for all using this EqHub ID for them to get the correct information. You can also, of course, recommend which one that you want to sell as a part, even if it's more than 2 years operation in this view. For operators, I think having the right connection of information is very vital. So having this part linked to equipment, then there is also potential for creating bill of materials directly from EqHub, and even the material bill of material, which is in some cases not that easy. Also very focused on putting this in. We have then control over the manufacturer's name and part number, which is very often a problem when this data comes along. And also, of course, the correct linking between the parts and equipment and tag. Also for operator, there normally is a lot of clarification related to this information when it comes into SPIR. So in this way, putting it in here, it will be controlled from the supplier of the equipment, and hopefully the data quality will raise a lot, because you don't have to repeat the same information in Excel spreadsheets and so on. For contractor, it's like some of these commissioning parts will probably be ordered in the project, and having the right information available and to make control that you have this information. We'll get more into details when we get into the SPIR, but also having the right information will also kind of document any surplus you have from the project, so it's easier to get that information or that product used other places and reused in other projects or whatever. I think that was the...
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Knut. Now on to the Q&A. And also before we start, if some of you are new to what we're trying to do in EqHub, for that matter, please feel free to join these different channels that we have. Maybe the most important resource that you have is in the middle here, eqhub.no. This page will also explain a lot about the SPIR related topic that Knut has addressed. So there's a lot of resources available for all user types, operator suppliers and contractors on this website. And you also have access to the actual solution from the same website. So over to the questions. Let's have a look. There's 2 questions we have in the chat. Knut, can you open the first one here?
Yeah, Howard.
I can read aloud. Will the EqHub number be given on the supplier website? Will it be linked to parts on the supplier website? Will the EqHub number be given on the... Yeah, so if you mean, once the supplier has registered the products in EqHub that are part specific, or not, the documentation related to it will be available on that supplier's page in EqHub. Yes. You see, Knut, you have a question from Ingrid Jullestad. Is it beneficial for subsea project installations?
Yeah, I would think so, because they already have the EqHub IDs on a lot of the subsea equipment. So I guess the same structure is used to get parts for those. So it's quite easy to use. So I will assume so.
Good. And then maybe you can address Gonzalo's questions.
Yeah, a lot of work was done on semi. We have imported a lot of documentation and stuff from semi, but if any parts related things that you want to kind of copy into EqHub, I think we can support that. So you don't have to do it again. So I guess then just contact the service desk or the support at eqhub.no.
Yes. Great. Then we have from Irene Eriksen, a lot of our products have been registered in EqHub by others, and not all are correctly registered. Can we update them, or do we need to contact those that enter them? I think, Irene, what you should do, and I will write that in the chat, you should contact support@eqhub.no, and you or your company or your colleagues will be given the appropriate access if you don't have it already, and then you can take ownership of your data and revise those things that are incorrect, etc., etc. And you also will choose which other companies can manage data, if any, on your behalf. Are there any other questions here?
Yeah, Hans-Jørgen is if there is any kind of validation of the part information entered, how this reliable data security. It's not part of the approval process for EqHub IDs, which is, but I guess related when all this information comes together in a SPIA process where you actually recommend something to be purchased, then you have the information documentation available there to it as well. But I guess there is no way for EqHub to actually check that the part number is correct. So we need to rely on that we are close to the source here with the supplier knowing their equipment and parts, that they provide the right information.
Yeah. I can also add that in EqHub, as you know, Hans-Jørgen, we have a high emphasis on data management and data quality. Once data starts coming in of this type, we will have a better opportunity also to actually implement certain validations. But for now, we trust the source, but with the volume of data, we will be able to see, and define and correct, in some cases, also incorrect data. Martine Sternskog says, how do you determine which operator client to select for verification? We've received some requests from companies to add the product to EqHub that are not available in the operator client selection. There is a general option now. Maybe we should look at making that even more obvious for you. It's just called Offshore Norge. So typically, if you don't find your verification context, there's two things you can do. You or the company asking you to do something need to address this to the service team so that the context can be made available. Otherwise, you can choose to choose the Offshore Norge. Ideally, the context and the client should be in the drop-down list. If it isn't, it's easy to amend this, but it needs to go through the operator client for them to tell us or the responsible on our side to amend this verification context list. Then we have a follow-up from Irena, a response to other questions. We have access now and register parts ourselves. Can and should we request to get access to the parts registered by others? Yes, you can. As long as this is your information, you can. And then Egil Uglenes, can SEMI be used still, or is all the info in SEMI inside EqHub by now? This would be more of a question for Equinor, not so much to Knut and myself. Equinor are participating here, and so I will make sure that they follow this one up, Egil. Okay. Let's see. Seems to be all the questions. Then I will take the opportunity to thank you guys, all of you, for participating and setting off these 20 minutes of your day. Thanks a lot, and yeah, have a good weekend. Get back to us in any way on these pages if you have other questions that you failed to address today. But again, thanks for joining, and have a good weekend.